Who's been texting her? Guy, who are you?
The thing about insomnia is that it gives you time to notice things you'd rather not see, like the way my wife Stephanie's phone lights up at 2 in the morning with messages she deletes before I can glimpse the screen, or how she started showering immediately after coming home from her late meetings at the marketing firm downtown. I'm Connor Dempsey, 38 years old, and apparently the last person in Boston to figure out his marriage is a joke. Used to be a cop before I traded the badge for a carpenter's belt. Turns out building things is more honest work than pretending to protect and serve in a world where nobody wants either. Tonight, I'm sitting in my kitchen, nursing black coffee and watching snow fall on our suburban street. The house is quiet except for the occasional creak of settling wood and Stephanie's muffled phone conversation upstairs. She thinks I can't hear her whispering, but these old walls carry sound like a confessional booth. "I can't keep doing this, Troy," she's saying. "Connor's getting suspicious." Troy, her boss. The gym-obsessed married father of 3 who drives a BMW and wears cologne that costs more than my monthly tool budget. I've met him twice at company parties where he spent both evenings undressing every woman in the room with his eyes while his wife Sarah stood beside him like expensive furniture. My phone buzzes. Text from my brother Paul. "Can't sleep either? Want to grab breakfast at Mickey's?" Paul's always been the conspiracy theorist in the family. Sees patterns where others see coincidence. Usually I think he's paranoid. Tonight, his timing feels prophetic. I text back, "Give me 20 minutes." Upstairs, Stephanie's voice carries through the heating vents. He's just sitting down there like he knows something. What if he followed us to the hotel? Hotel. The word hits like a punch to the gut, even though I've been expecting it for weeks. The late meetings, the new lingerie I found receipts for in sizes too small for her frame, the way she flinches when I touch her like my hands are contaminated. I grab my coat and keys, leaving through the back door. Let her wonder where I went. Let her sweat a little. Mickey's Diner sits on the corner of Maple and 3rd, a greasy spoon that's been serving coffee and disappointment to insomniacs for 40 years. Paul's already there when I arrive, hunched over a newspaper and a plate of eggs that look like they died of natural causes. "You look like hell," he says without looking up. "Thanks. You're a real morale booster." Paul's 42, 3 years older than me, with the kind of weathered face that comes from asking too many uncomfortable questions. He works nights at the post office, which gives him plenty of time to develop theories about government surveillance and marital infidelity. "Stephanie's still taking those late meetings?" he asks. I slide into the booth across from him. "How'd you know?" "Same way I knew Dad was gambling away the grocery money when we were kids. Same way I knew Mom was meeting someone at the Riverside Motel every Tuesday afternoon. People think they're clever, but patterns are patterns." The waitress brings coffee without being asked. Her name tag says Dolores, and she looks like she's been pouring coffee since the Eisenhower administration. "Mom never cheated on Dad," I say. Paul laughs, but there's no humor in it. "Connor, you were always the trusting one. Even when you were a cop, you believed the best in people until they proved you wrong." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means maybe it's time you learned some family history. Dad's been dead 3 years, and I've been going through his stuff in the attic. Found some interesting items." Paul reaches into his jacket and pulls out a small cassette tape, the kind we used to record songs off the radio in the 80s. This one has "Con Truth" written on the label in our mother's handwriting. "She left this for you. Dated it 2 weeks before the cancer took her. I think she knew you'd need to hear it someday." My hands shake as I take the tape. What's on it? Truth. The kind that runs in families, apparently. The kind that explains why you're sitting here at 3 in the morning instead of confronting your cheating wife. I pocket the tape. "I need to get home." "No, you don't. You need to face facts. Stephanie's playing you the same way Mom played Dad for 20 years. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Paul's right, but admitting it feels like swallowing broken glass. I've built my life on the assumption that loyalty matters, that marriage means something, that people keep their promises. Finding out it's all been a performance makes me question everything I thought I knew about myself. "I have a cassette player at home," I say. "No, you don't. You threw it out when you went digital, remember?" "But I still have Dad's old boombox. Come back to my place. Let's listen to what Mom wanted you to know." The drive to Paul's house takes 10 minutes, but it feels like crossing into another country. Every streetlight illuminates another piece of my crumbling certainty. By the time we pull into his driveway, I'm ready to hear whatever truth my mother left behind. Paul's living room looks like a museum of our childhood. Dad's recliner still sits in the corner, and Mom's knitting basket rests on the side table like she might return any moment to finish the scarf she was making when the chemo stole her strength. The boombox sits on the kitchen counter, a relic from 1987 with dual cassette decks and radio presets that probably still tune to stations that no longer exist. Paul inserts the tape and presses play. Static fills the room, followed by our mother's voice, weaker than I remember, but unmistakably hers. Connor, if you're hearing this, it means Paul found the courage to share what I never could tell you while I was alive. I'm recording this because I see you with Stephanie, and I see myself 30 years ago. The secrets, the lies, the way she guards her phone like it contains state secrets. I sink into Dad's old chair, feeling like the ground is shifting beneath me. I was unfaithful to your father for most of our marriage, not because I didn't love him, but because I was selfish and weak and thought I deserved more excitement than a postal worker could provide. I met men in hotels, lied about working late, and convinced myself I was sophisticated rather than cruel. Paul watches my face as the tape continues. He's heard this before, processed it, made peace with it. For me, it's like watching my childhood burn. Your father knew. He always knew. But he loved me enough to pretend he didn't, and I was coward enough to let him. I'm telling you this because I see the same patterns in Stephanie. The way she looks through you instead of at you. The way she mentions her boss's name just a little too often. The way she started buying lingerie she never wears for you. My mother's voice breaks slightly, and I hear her take a sip of something. Probably the tea she drank constantly during her final months. Don't be your father, Connor. Don't spend 20 years pretending not to see what's right in front of you. You deserve better than I gave him, and you're strong enough to demand it. The truth is, like cancer, it only gets worse when you ignore it. The tape ends with a soft click, leaving Paul and me sitting in silence. Outside, dawn is beginning to creep across the horizon, painting the world in shades of gray that match my mood. How long have you known? I ask. About Mom since I was 16, about Stephanie since her Christmas party last year when I saw her and Troy disappear into the supply closet for 20 minutes. Why didn't you tell me? Because you wouldn't have believed me. You had to see it for yourself, the same way I had to figure out Mom's secrets on my own. Some truths can't be shared. They have to be discovered. I stand up, feeling older than I did when I walked in. I need to go home and think. No, you need to go home and act. Thinking is what Dad did for 20 years, and it killed him slowly from the inside. Mom's giving you permission to fight back. Paul's right, but I'm not ready to hear it. Not yet. I need time to process the fact that my entire understanding of my family was built on lies, and that my marriage is apparently following the same script. The drive home takes me through neighborhoods where people are just starting their days, coffee shops opening, joggers beginning their routes, normal people living normal lives built on assumptions that might be just as false as mine were. I pull into my driveway as Stephanie's BMW backs out of the garage. She's dressed for work, makeup perfect, hair styled like she's going to a photo shoot instead of a marketing meeting. She waves at me through the windshield with the kind of smile that used to make me feel lucky. Now it just makes me feel stupid. Inside the house, I make fresh coffee and try to reconcile the woman I married with the stranger who's been sharing my bed. Stephanie and I met 8 years ago at a charity fundraiser where she was representing her company and I was working security. She approached me during my break, complimented my uniform, and asked if I'd ever considered a career change. Cops have such interesting stories, she'd said, but they don't make much money, do they? I should have paid attention to that second part. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a ceremony that cost more than my annual salary. Stephanie handled all the arrangements, insisting we needed to make the right impression on her colleagues and family. I went along because I thought compromise was what marriage required. Our son Jamie was born a year later, and for a while everything felt perfect. Stephanie took maternity leave and seemed content playing house, posting photos of our family on social media like we were auditioning for a sitcom. But when she returned to work, something shifted. She became ambitious in a way that felt desperate, staying late, traveling for conferences, networking with people who treated me like an accessory when we attended company events together. Now, sitting in my kitchen with my mother's voice still echoing in my head, I realized the shift coincided with Troy's promotion to regional manager. Suddenly, Stephanie's late meetings always seemed to involve his projects, and her phone conversations became private affairs conducted behind closed doors. I walk upstairs to our bedroom, looking at it with new eyes. Stephanie's side of the closet contains clothes I've never seen her wear at home: silk blouses, short skirts, shoes that cost more than most people's car payments. Her jewelry box holds earrings and bracelets I don't remember buying, and her dresser drawer contains lingerie with tags still attached. Size 4. Stephanie wears a size 6. My phone rings. Jamie's school, calling to report that he's sick and needs to be picked up. Jamie's 16, old enough to drive himself home. But the school has policies about parental notification. I grab my keys, grateful for the distraction. Jefferson High School looks the same as it did when I attended 20 years ago. Same brick facade, same smell of floor wax and teenage anxiety, same underpaid teachers trying to educate kids who'd rather be anywhere else. I find Jamie in the nurse's office, looking pale but alert. "Just a headache, Dad. I think it's stress from the history test." Jamie inherited my height and Stephanie's intelligence, a combination that makes him popular with teachers and invisible to most of his classmates. He's the kind of kid who reads books for fun and knows more about current events than most adults, but struggles with the social dynamics that seem effortless for other teenagers. "Your mom couldn't pick you up?" I ask as we walk to my truck. "She's in meetings all day. Some big presentation for a new client?" Jamie buckles his seatbelt and looks out the window. "She's been working a lot lately." "Have you noticed anything different about her? Mood changes, new routines, anything like that?" Jamie considers the question with the seriousness he applies to everything. "She's happier, I guess. Sings in the shower, spends more time getting ready for work. Buys herself flowers when she thinks no one's looking." "Why?" "Because your mother is having an affair, and I'm trying to figure out how to tell you without destroying your faith in human nature, I think." Instead, I say, "Just curious. Sometimes adults go through phases." We stop for lunch at a burger place near the house, and Jamie tells me about his classes, his college plans, his concerns about the environment and social justice. He's thoughtful and idealistic in the way that makes me proud and terrified in equal measure. The world is going to disappoint him in ways he can't imagine, and I'm powerless to prevent it. "Dad, are you and Mom okay?" he asks as we finish eating. The question catches me off guard. "Why would you ask that?" "You've been sleeping in the guest room for the past 2 weeks. Mom says you're having back problems, but you've never mentioned back problems before. And you both get quiet when I walk into rooms, like you were talking about something you don't want me to hear." Smart kid. Too smart for his own good, maybe. "Marriage is complicated, Jamie. Sometimes people need space to figure things out." "Are you getting divorced?" The word hangs in the air between us like a challenge. Am I getting divorced? A week ago, I would have said no without hesitation. Today, I'm not sure what I'm doing. "I hope not," I say, which is both honest and completely inadequate. We drive home in comfortable silence, Jamie absorbed in his phone, and me absorbed in the growing certainty that my life is about to change in ways I can't control. The house feels different when we walk in, like a stage set for a play I never auditioned for. Jamie goes upstairs to rest, and I return to the kitchen to think. Stephanie's laptop sits on the counter, closed but not locked. She's always been careless with passwords, using variations of our anniversary date and Jamie's birthday for everything. It takes me 3 tries to access her email. What I find there makes my mother's tape seem like a gentle warning. Months of correspondence between Stephanie and Troy, starting professional and gradually becoming personal, then intimate, then explicit. Photos I recognize from our bedroom, taken when I was at work. Plans for weekend getaways disguised as business trips. Discussions about their future together, including speculation about how much money Stephanie might receive in a divorce settlement. The most recent exchange, dated yesterday, makes my hands shake. Troy: "Sarah's getting suspicious. We need to be more careful." Stephanie: "Connor's clueless. He actually asked if I was working late again, like he's proud of how hard I work. Sometimes I think he wants to be deceived." Troy: "What if he finds out?" Stephanie: "Then we accelerate our timeline. I've been documenting his mood swings and drinking habits. My lawyer says I can claim emotional misuse if necessary." Troy: "You're brilliant. This is why I love you." Stephanie: "Love you too. Can't wait to start our real life together." I close the laptop and walk to the liquor cabinet, pouring 3 fingers of bourbon that burn going down but don't touch the cold rage building in my chest. Emotional misuse, mood swings, drinking habits. She's not just cheating, she's preparing to destroy me. My phone buzzes with a text from Paul. How are you processing Mom's tape? I call him instead of texting back. I need help. What kind of help? The kind that makes sure I don't do something stupid. Where are you? Home. Jamie's here, but he's upstairs. I found emails between Stephanie and Troy. They're planning to leave their spouses and frame me as an abusive drunk to justify it. Paul is quiet for a long moment. Forward those emails to yourself, then delete the sent items so she doesn't know you saw them. Can you get into her phone? Probably. She uses the same passwords for everything. Do it. Document everything, but don't confront her yet. We need to be smart about this. I want to drive to her office and drag Troy into the parking lot. No, you don't. You want to beat them at their own game. Trust me, revenge is a dish best served cold and thoroughly planned. Paul's right, but the rational part of my brain is losing the battle against 20 years of suppressed anger. I've spent my entire adult life being reasonable, compromising, trusting people who didn't deserve it. The urge to finally fight back feels overwhelming. Stephanie comes home at 7, carrying takeout from an expensive restaurant downtown and wearing a dress I've never seen before. She kisses my cheek like we're actors in a commercial for suburban happiness. Sorry I'm late. The Peterson account required some last-minute adjustments. How's Jamie feeling? Better. He's doing homework upstairs. I watch her face as she moves around the kitchen, looking for tells I've been trained to recognize but chose to ignore. How's Troy handling the Peterson account? She freezes for just a moment but recovers quickly. Fine. He's very hands-on with the big clients. I bet he is. I was thinking we should have dinner together more often, I say. As a family. Maybe this weekend? This weekend is the company retreat in Vermont. I told you about it last month. She didn't tell me about it last month, but I don't challenge her. Instead, I smile and nod like the clueless husband she thinks I am. Right, the retreat. Will Troy be there? All the senior staff will be there, Connor. It's a working weekend, not a vacation. Of course, I'm sure you'll work very hard. Something in my tone makes her look at me more carefully. Are you feeling okay? You seem different lately. Just tired. The Hendricks renovation is taking longer than expected. She accepts this explanation because it fits her narrative of me as a simple man with simple problems. After dinner, she retreats to her laptop while I help Jamie with his history homework. We're studying World War II, and Jamie's fascinated by the resistance movements in occupied Europe. It's interesting how ordinary people became heroes when their backs were against the wall, he says. Like they discovered strength they didn't know they had. Sometimes that's what it takes, I agree. Sometimes you have to lose everything before you find out who you really are. That night, I lie in the guest room and listen to Stephanie's muffled phone conversation through the wall. She's making plans for the weekend retreat, discussing room arrangements and dinner reservations with someone who isn't her boss in any professional sense. I think about my father spending 20 years pretending not to see what was happening in his own house. I think about my mother's tape, her voice reaching across the grave to warn me against making his mistakes. I think about Jamie, who deserves better than watching his family disintegrate because his father was too weak to fight back. By morning, I've made my decision. If Stephanie wants to play games, I'll teach her the rules. The next few days pass in a strange routine of domestic theater. Stephanie leaves for work each morning with kisses and promises to be home for dinner, then texts around 5 to report unexpected delays. I respond with understanding messages while documenting every lie, every excuse, every moment of manufactured affection. Paul helps me set up surveillance equipment in my own home. Small cameras hidden in common areas, recording devices that capture phone conversations, software that tracks computer usage. It feels like violating my own privacy, but I need evidence that will hold up in court when this inevitably becomes a legal battle. Jamie notices the tension but doesn't comment directly. Instead, he spends more time at the library and at his friend Marcus's house, instinctively avoiding the minefield our home has become. Smart kid. He's inherited his mother's survival instincts along with her intelligence. On Thursday, Stephanie announces she's leaving early Friday morning for the Vermont retreat and won't return until Sunday evening. She packs carefully, including the size 4 lingerie and several outfits I've never seen her wear at home. She's planning a romantic weekend with Troy, while I stay home like a faithful dog, waiting for her return. I'll miss you, she says, wrapping her arms around my neck with practiced affection. I'll miss you too, I reply, and mean it in ways she can't understand. I'll miss the woman I thought I married, the life I thought we were building, the future I imagined we'd share, but I won't miss the lies. Friday morning, I watch her drive away with a suitcase full of secrets and a smile full of deception. Then I call in sick to my current job site and begin preparing for the most important weekend of my adult life. Paul arrives at noon with equipment and expertise. You sure you want to do this? She's planning to destroy me, Paul. The emails make it clear. She's not just leaving, she's trying to take everything and paint me as an abusive drunk in the process. I won't let that happen. Okay, but we do this smart. No breaking laws, no violence, no giving her ammunition to use against you. We drive to the resort in Vermont where Stephanie claimed the company retreat was being held. It takes 2 hours and several phone calls to confirm that her marketing firm has no event scheduled there this weekend. The resort clerk is helpful when Paul poses as a wedding planner trying to verify availability. No corporate events this weekend, she says. Just individual guests. Individual guests like my wife and her boss, registered under false names but paying with credit cards I can trace. Paul photographs the registration records while I sit in the parking lot, watching couples arrive for romantic getaways that don't involve betraying their families. Room 237, Paul reports when he returns to the car. Registered under Mr. and Mrs. Smith, real original. I want to see them together. I want proof that can't be explained away or rationalized. Connor, seeing it will hurt more than you expect. Are you sure you're ready for that? I'm not ready, but I'm past the point where readiness matters. We check into a room 3 doors down from theirs and wait. At 6:30, I see Stephanie emerge from the elevator, wearing a red dress that hugs her body like a second skin. She's beautiful in a way that makes my chest ache, and for a moment I remember why I fell in love with her. Then Troy appears beside her, his hand resting possessively on the small of her back, and the moment passes. He's tall and tan and confident in the way that comes from never having to doubt your place in the world. His wedding ring is absent, and he carries himself like a man who's never faced consequences for his actions. They walk to the hotel restaurant like they own it, and I follow at a distance with Paul's camera. Through the window, I watch them share intimate conversation over expensive wine, their body language screaming closeness to anyone who cares to look. Stephanie laughs at something Troy says, throwing her head back in genuine delight. And I realize I haven't seen her laugh like that in months, maybe years. Paul takes photos from multiple angles while I catalog the details I'll need for divorce proceedings. The way she touches his hand across the table, the way he feeds her bites of dessert, the way they look at each other like they're the only people in the world. Got enough? Paul asks. More than enough. We return to our room, and Paul uploads the photos to a secure cloud account while I call Maura Lynn, the family law attorney who's been a friend since childhood. Maura's built her practice on representing betrayed spouses, and she has a reputation for aggressive advocacy that makes cheating partners nervous. Connor, it's been too long. What can I do for you? My wife is having an affair with her boss. I have photos, emails, and documented lies about her whereabouts. I want to file for divorce and ensure she gets nothing. Slow down. Tell me everything, and don't leave out details that make you look bad. I can't help you if I don't know what I'm working with. I spend an hour walking Maura through the evidence, from my mother's tape to Stephanie's emails to tonight's surveillance photos. She listens without judgment, occasionally asking clarifying questions or requesting specific documentation. This is good work, Connor. Thorough and legally obtained. Massachusetts is a no-fault divorce state, but infidelity still matters for property division and custody arrangements. With this evidence, we can ensure she doesn't profit from her betrayal. What about her plan to claim I'm abusive? The emails where she discusses fabricating misuse allegations will destroy her credibility. No judge will award custody or significant assets to someone who's documented planning to commit perjury. You're in a strong position. I want more than a strong legal position, Maura. I want justice. Justice and revenge aren't the same thing, Connor. Focus on protecting yourself and Jamie. Let the legal system handle punishment. Maura's advice is sound, but it doesn't satisfy the anger that's been building since I heard my mother's tape. Stephanie isn't just ending our marriage. She's trying to destroy my reputation and steal my relationship with my son. Legal consequences feel inadequate for that level of betrayal. After we hang up, Paul and I sit in uncomfortable silence, listening to muffled sounds from room 237 that I don't want to interpret. My wife is 3 doors away, sharing closeness with another man while I document evidence for divorce proceedings. The situation feels surreal, like watching my life happen to someone else. You want to go home? Paul asks. Not yet. I want to see how this ends. Connor, torturing yourself won't change anything. Maybe not. But I need to see who she really is when she thinks no one's watching. I need to understand how completely I was fooled. We order room service and take turns monitoring the hallway. At midnight, Troy emerges alone and walks to the ice machine, wearing hotel slippers and a satisfied expression that makes me want to put him through the wall. He's tall and fit, but I'm trained and angry, and I could drop him before he knew what hit him. Paul reads my expression and steps between me and the door. Not worth it, brother. He's not the problem. She is. He's just a symptom. He's destroying my family. No, Stephanie is destroying your family. Troy's just helping her do it. Focus your anger where it belongs. Paul's right, but it doesn't make watching Troy's casual confidence any easier. This man is sleeping with my wife, planning to steal my life, and acting like he's entitled to it all. The injustice burns like acid in my throat. Saturday morning brings more of the same. Stephanie and Troy emerge from their room looking refreshed and happy, holding hands like newlyweds as they walk to breakfast. I follow them to the hotel's outdoor terrace, where they sit at a table overlooking the mountains and plan their future together. Sarah will never agree to an amicable divorce, Troy says, cutting into his Eggs Benedict. She'll want half of everything and full custody of the kids. Connor will be easier, Stephanie replies. He's conflict-averse and still thinks marriage is sacred. I can manipulate his guilt about the divorce and his concern for Jamie to get what I want. What if he fights back? Stephanie laughs, and the sound makes my blood freeze. Connor? He's been letting me walk all over him for 8 years. He's not going to suddenly grow a spine now. Paul grabs my arm as I start to stand. Easy, Connor. Let them talk. They're giving us more evidence. I'll document his drinking and mood swings, Stephanie continues. Maybe claim he threatened me a few times. Nothing too dramatic, just enough to establish a pattern of instability. My lawyer says judges are very sympathetic to women who claim emotional misuse. You're brilliant, Troy says, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand. This is why I love you. I love you too. I can't wait to start our real life together. I've heard those words before in the emails I found on her laptop. But hearing them spoken aloud, while she plans to destroy me with false accusations, makes them feel like physical blows. Paul and I return to our room, where I sit on the bed and try to process what I've witnessed. The woman I married, the mother of my son, is planning to commit perjury to steal my assets and damage my reputation. She's not just leaving, she's trying to burn down everything I've built. Now what? I ask. Now we go home and prepare for war, Paul says. But we do it smart. We use their arrogance against them. Let them think they're winning until it's too late to change course. I want them to suffer. They will. But suffering that comes from their own choices is more satisfying than suffering you inflict. Trust me on this. The drive home takes 2 hours, but it feels like crossing into enemy territory. My house, my marriage, my life. All of it is compromised now, infected by lies I can't unknow. Jamie's waiting when I arrive, full of questions about my weekend and updates about his own activities. Mom called this morning, he reports. She sounded happy, said the retreat was going really well and she was learning a lot. I'm sure she is, I reply, and the bitter irony isn't lost on either of us. Sunday evening, Stephanie returns home glowing with satisfaction and full of stories about team-building exercises and strategic planning sessions. She shows me photos on her phone, carefully staged shots of conference rooms and networking events that could have been taken anywhere, anytime. I missed you, she says, kissing me with lips that taste like lies. I missed you too, I reply, and wonder if she can hear the difference in my voice. That night, she falls asleep easily, exhausted from her weekend of deception. I lie beside her in the dark, listening to her breathe and planning the end of our marriage. She thinks she's won, that her plan is proceeding perfectly. She has no idea what's coming. Monday morning arrives with the kind of autumn clarity that makes everything look sharp-edged and unforgiving. Stephanie leaves for work humming a song I don't recognize, and Jamie catches the school bus with his usual distracted efficiency. I'm alone in the house with my evidence and my anger, trying to decide how to destroy the woman I once loved. Paul calls at 9. You ready to move forward with this? More than ready. What did you have in mind? Public exposure. Stephanie's planning to destroy your reputation with lies, so we destroy hers with truth, but we do it in a way that maximizes impact and minimizes legal risk. Explain. Her company's having their annual client appreciation dinner next Friday at the Marriott downtown. Big event, all the major clients and staff, very public and professional. What if Stephanie's affair became public knowledge at that dinner? The idea has merit, but I need details. How? Leave that to me. I have friends in the audiovisual business who owe me favors. The question is, are you prepared for the nuclear option? Because once we do this, there's no going back. I think about Stephanie's laugh as she planned to falsely accuse me of misuse. I think about Troy's satisfied expression as he emerged from their hotel room. I think about my mother's voice warning me not to be my father. I'm ready. Good, but first we need to document everything perfectly. No room for her to claim the evidence was fabricated or obtained illegally. Can you get into her phone again? Tonight, after she falls asleep. Do it. We need recent communications, photos, anything that proves the affair is ongoing. And, Connor, don't tell Jamie what we're planning. He doesn't need to know until it's over. The rest of the day passes slowly. I work on a kitchen renovation in Brookline, installing cabinets and trying not to think about how I'm about to blow up my life. My client, Mrs. Patterson, is a widow in her 70s who treats me like the son she never had. You seem distracted today, Connor. Everything all right at home? Just some personal issues, Mrs. Patterson. Nothing I can't handle. Marriage troubles? The question catches me off guard. What makes you say that? 47 years of marriage taught me to recognize the signs. The way you check your phone constantly but never smile at the messages. The way you work harder when you're here, like you're avoiding something at home. The way you look tired even when you've had enough sleep. Mrs. Patterson is more perceptive than I gave her credit for. It's complicated. Marriage usually is, but complications can be worked through if both people want to fix them. The question is, does your wife want to fix things, or has she already moved on? I think she's already moved on. Then you need to decide if you're going to fight for what you want or accept what she's chosen. But don't spend years pretending things are fine when they're not. That's no way to live. Mrs. Patterson's advice echoes my mother's tape, and I realize I'm surrounded by people trying to tell me the same thing. Stop being passive, start fighting back, demand better than I've been accepting. I finish the cabinet installation and drive home, where I find Jamie doing homework at the kitchen table and Stephanie making dinner like a devoted wife. The domestic scene feels like a movie set, artificial and carefully arranged for maximum effect. How was your day? She asks, stirring something that smells like actual effort. Productive. Yours? Busy. Troy's implementing some new client management protocols that require additional training. I might have to work late a few nights this week. More lies. Delivered with a casual confidence of someone who's never been challenged. I nod and smile like the trusting husband she thinks I am. Whatever you need to do, I know your job is important. After dinner, Jamie retreats to his room and Stephanie settles onto the couch with her laptop and a glass of wine. I sit beside her, pretending to watch television while monitoring her screen from the corner of my eye. She's messaging Troy, making plans for tomorrow's late meeting at a hotel downtown. At 11, she announces she's tired and heads upstairs. I wait 30 minutes, then follow. Stephanie's asleep with her phone on the nightstand, charging and unlocked. I carefully lift it and carry it to the guest room, where I spend an hour photographing text messages, emails, and photos that document her affair in explicit detail. The pictures are the worst part. Intimate selfies taken in our bedroom and hotel rooms, in Troy's office after hours. Images of my wife with another man, shared like trophies of their deception. Each photo feels like a physical blow, but I document them all because I know I'll need them. By midnight, I have enough evidence to end her career and destroy her reputation. Photos, messages, emails, hotel receipts, a complete record of infidelity and planned perjury that no lawyer could explain away. I upload everything to Paul's secure server and return her phone to the nightstand. Stephanie sleeps peacefully beside me, unaware that her life is about to implode. She looks younger in sleep, more like the woman I married, and for a moment I feel something like regret. Then, I remember her laugh as she planned to falsely accuse me of misuse, and the moment passes. Tuesday and Wednesday blur together in a haze of preparation and documentation. Paul coordinates with his audiovisual contacts while I meet with Mara to finalize divorce papers. Everything is ready for Friday night's revelation, but I'm starting to have doubts about the nuclear option. Cold feet? Paul asks when I call him Wednesday evening. Second thoughts. Maybe we should just file for divorce quietly and avoid the public humiliation. Connor, she's planning to destroy your reputation with false misuse allegations. You can't defend against lies with silence. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. What about Jamie? This is going to devastate him. Jamie's going to be devastated anyway when he learns about the affair. At least this way, he'll know you fought back instead of just accepting betrayal. Paul's right, but it doesn't make the decision easier. I'm about to destroy my wife's career and reputation in front of her colleagues and clients. It feels like crossing a line I can't uncross. Thursday night, Stephanie comes home excited about Friday's client dinner. It's going to be a huge event, she says. All the major accounts will be there, plus potential new clients. Troy thinks it could lead to some significant opportunities for advancement. That sounds wonderful. I'm sure you'll make a great impression. I hope so. This could be the breakthrough I've been working toward. She has no idea how right she is. Friday arrives with unseasonable warmth and clear skies, like the universe is providing perfect conditions for the destruction of my marriage. I take the day off work and spend it making final preparations, reviewing evidence, and trying to prepare mentally for what's about to happen. Jamie notices my distraction at dinner. You seem nervous, Dad. Everything okay? Just thinking about some work issues. Nothing you need to worry about. Stephanie leaves at 6, dressed in a black cocktail dress that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She kisses my cheek and promises to be home by midnight, another lie delivered with practiced ease. Have a good time, I tell her. I hope it's a night you'll never forget. At 7:30, Paul picks me up and we drive to the Marriott downtown. The hotel's ballroom is filled with well-dressed professionals, networking over cocktails and hors d'oeuvres. Stephanie stands near the bar with Troy, both of them looking confident and successful and completely unaware that their world is about to collapse. Paul's friend Marcus runs the hotel's audiovisual system, and he's prepared a special presentation for the evening's entertainment. You sure about this, Connor? Once I start the slideshow, there's no stopping it. I'm sure. At 8:15, the formal program begins with speeches from company executives and recognition of outstanding employees. Stephanie receives an award for client retention, and she glows with pride as Troy presents it to her with a kiss on the cheek that lasts just a moment too long. Then Marcus dims the lights and announces a special multimedia presentation celebrating the company's success. The screen fills with professional photos of recent corporate events, team meetings, and client celebrations. Everyone applauds politely, expecting more of the same corporate propaganda. Instead, they get explicit photos of Stephanie and Troy in hotel rooms, accompanied by audio recordings of their most intimate conversations. The ballroom falls silent as my wife's affair plays out in high definition for 200 of her colleagues and clients to witness. Stephanie's face goes white as she recognizes the images. Troy tries to reach the AV controls, but Paul blocks his path with a smile that promises violence if he interferes. The presentation continues for 5 minutes that feel like hours, documenting every detail of their betrayal with timestamps and locations that prove ongoing infidelity. When the lights come up, the ballroom is silent except for the sound of Stephanie's sobbing. Troy's wife, Sarah, stands near the entrance, having arrived just in time to watch her husband's infidelity broadcast to a room full of strangers. She walks calmly to their table, picks up a glass of red wine, and pours it over Troy's head before leaving without a word. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce, standing at the back of the room, I'm Connor Dempsey, Stephanie's husband. I thought you should know the kind of person you're celebrating tonight. Someone who doesn't just cheat on her family, but plans to commit perjury to steal assets in the divorce. The emails documenting that plan are being distributed to your tables now. Paul and Marcus move through the room, placing printed copies of Stephanie's most damaging emails at each table. Her plan to falsely accuse me of misuse, her discussions of asset hiding, her calculations about divorce settlements, all of it laid bare for her professional community to judge. Stephanie tries to run, but her legs won't support her. She collapses into a chair, hyperventilating and crying while her colleagues read documentation of her planned perjury. Troy attempts damage control, claiming the evidence is fabricated, but the timestamps and metadata are too detailed to fake. This is illegal, he shouts. Invasion of privacy. We'll sue you for everything you have. Actually, Moralyn announces, stepping forward with a briefcase full of legal documents. Everything was obtained legally from devices Mr. Dempsey owns or has legal access to. And given the documented plan to commit perjury, I doubt any court will be sympathetic to your privacy concerns. The hotel security arrives, but there's nothing illegal about showing photos and emails at a private event. The presentation is over, the damage is done, and Stephanie's career is finished. Her boss approaches our table, his face grim with corporate damage control calculations. Stephanie, you're terminated immediately. Troy, we'll discuss your situation Monday morning, but I wouldn't make any long-term plans. The ballroom empties quickly as people flee the uncomfortable scene. Within 30 minutes, only Paul, Maura, and I remain with Stephanie and Troy, who sit at their table like survivors of a natural disaster. "How could you do this to me?" Stephanie asks, her voice broken and raw. "How could you plan to falsely accuse me of misuse?" I reply. "How could you document strategies to steal my assets and destroy my reputation? Did you think I'd never find out? Did you think I'd just accept it?" "I never meant for it to go this far." "Yes, you did. You planned every detail from the fake misuse allegations to the asset hiding. You wanted to destroy me and you thought I was too weak to fight back." Troy finally speaks up. "This isn't over, Connor. You've made enemies tonight." "No, Troy. You made enemies when you decided to destroy my family. I just made sure everyone knows what kind of people you really are." Paul drives me home through streets that look the same but feel completely different. I've crossed a line tonight, moved from sufferer to aggressor, from passive acceptance to active revenge. The satisfaction I expected to feel is mixed with something darker, the knowledge that I've become someone I didn't know I could be. Jamie's waiting in the kitchen when I arrive, still awake despite the late hour. "Where's Mom?" "She won't be coming home tonight, son. We need to talk." I tell Jamie everything. The affair, the lies, the plan to falsely accuse me of misuse, tonight's revelation at the hotel. He listens without interruption, his face cycling through confusion, anger, and hurt as he processes the destruction of his family. "So you're getting divorced?" "Yes, I'm sorry, Jamie. I know this isn't what you wanted." "Will I still see Mom?" "That's up to the courts and what she decides to do next, but you'll always have me no matter what happens." Jamie nods, trying to be strong in the way that breaks my heart. "Dad, I'm proud of you for fighting back. I know that wasn't easy." "Sometimes fighting back is the only choice left." At 2 a.m, my phone rings. Stephanie calling from a number I don't recognize. "Connor, please, can we talk? Can I come home?" "No, Stephanie, you made your choice. Now you get to live with the consequences. I made mistakes, but what you did tonight was cruel. You destroyed my career, my reputation, everything I worked for. You were planning to destroy me with false accusations of misuse. You documented strategies to steal my assets and damage my reputation. What I did tonight was justice. Please, I love you. I want to fix this." "You love me? You spent months planning to commit perjury against me. You laughed about how easy I'd be to manipulate. That's not love, Stephanie. That's contempt. I'll do anything to make this right. There is no making this right. You crossed lines that can't be uncrossed. It's over." I hang up and turn off my phone. Outside, dawn is beginning to creep across the horizon, painting the world in shades of gray that match my mood. My marriage is over, my wife's life is destroyed, and my son's childhood is shattered, but for the first time in months, I feel like myself again.